So, in talking about absence of self, I want to talk a little bit about self identity. And one of the ways that we establish self identity is first who we take ourselves to be. So, this starts when we're young and we see how people relate to us, what they like about us, what they like about our behavior. So some of this is the feedback and the mirroring we're getting from our birth family, from our caregivers, and those we value their opinion. So again, we're seeing ourselves, we're seeing how they're relating to us, and we're also seeing what we're not doing well or what they're not mirroring. And we tend as children to take what's not being mirrored as something that's undesirable by the others, by the adults in particular. So we start creating a hierarchy within us of things we like, we want to show, things we think we're good at, things we get recognized for. And then we want to underplay the things that don't seem to be very valued by those around us. And so this whole mirroring is really important. I was really surprised at one point doing some reading in psychology that one of the most important experiences for a young child is to have their unconditional love received and mirrored back. So it's less the child being loved, which is still important, of course, but it's the child knowing their love is received. That's really an important development for the child. So constructing this self-image, again, it's based on behavior that we like, behavior that others like, feedback, mirroring, all of this complicated things that humans do. And we at some point get a sense of self, a self-image. This is me. This is who I am, what I do, how I do it. And when that's mirrored back accurately by another, we're just elated. We feel we are seen. Their perception is very clear, and we think of them, we really elevate them in terms of their significance. And conversely, when the mirroring is, in our view, inaccurate, when they're mirroring things we don't want them to see or things we don't want to be part of our self-image, it can be quite painful. We can really feel a lot of hurt and we can feel unseen. And this is why, as children, when we have that experience, we can be quite devastated because we feel they're not seeing us accurately. And that will often promote a lot of children behaving more and more in the ways they think they need to be seen. So we really start attaching a lot of significance to our doing that communicates that sense of self. And when we begin to make contact with absence of self, it begins to conflict with this inner self-referencing. So we normally will land on the behavior that that reflects our self-identity. We'll land on all the various identifiers of gender and age and race and location and family and work and education and all these things, and the list can go on and on. But we start looking for those, and with absence of self, we can't find them as easily. So it feels that we've lost something. I mentioned yesterday, the first few times I had this experience, which is common for most people, I quickly reassembled my sense of self. I found the markers of me I could find, and I really leaned into those until I could feel a fair number and feel my sense of self was back, because there was a sense of loss. I felt like my anchor was cut away from the ship and I was just floating aimlessly, and it was wildly uncomfortable. But over time, I began to have the ability to stay more and more with absence of self. And that's the instruction. When you're feeling it, try to stay with it. Try not to assert the sense of self as quickly as you did before. Try to hold back and stay with that question mark. And so a common series of reactions we can have when we're encountering a sense of self, I mentioned the sense of feeling lost. That's quite common. Also, we can have a kind of sense of defeat. I've done something wrong. And there can even be a hopelessness. I'm lost. I don't know how to be found. And so a lot of this can be playing at the same time. And this is our reaction to the fact we can't find the normal sense. And for some people, that can invite a deep sadness, even a sense of depression, because we can't find the self and we don't know if it's going to be lost forever. It's absent now and we just don't know. And it's uncomfortable and we've not been this way before. And this is not how most anybody else is. So there's lots of places that will really push on our inclination to assert the self. And yet, when we have sustained experience with absence of self and then come back to the personality, it can feel very stale and uncomfortable.